Hello, and welcome to our continuing Bible devotional. We're currently going through the book of Ephesians, and we're in chapter 4, and we're going to pick it up at verse 28. In the last few verses and the last few paragraphs, really, of this chapter, the Apostle Paul is outlining what it looks like to be a Christian who puts on the new self, who is striving to live in the way God desires us to live and has called us to live. And last devotional we talked about anger and letting go of anger. That's not the only thing that we have to deal with. He goes on to say in verse 28, here's another aspect of what it means to walk in true holiness and righteousness. He says in verse 28, let the thief no longer steal, but let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with anyone in need. So he's saying, listen, if you've got any kind of dishonest gain, anything that you did not get in a righteous manner, then you need to deal with that and get rid of that. Now, I know when we hear the word thief, we often have this idea of a man who's wearing a mask, breaking into people's homes, or somebody holding a gun up to somebody and robbing them. But you must understand there's many kinds of dishonest gain. You can use somebody's password and username to get Netflix when you've not rightfully paid for it. That's dishonest gain. That's stealing. You can underpay an employee in a way that cheats them of what they're rightfully due. That's dishonest gain. That's stealing. You can not pay your taxes in full. That's stealing. There's all kinds of ways that we as human beings have created to kind of circumvent the idea. But God just says this is what it is. It's just stealing. It's just breaking one of the 10 commandments. It's just dishonest gain. Any kind of thing, anything we achieve or get dishonestly is a manner of theft. And that's something that should not be a part of a Christian's life. Rather, it says in verse 28, let them labor. You know, you want something, you work with it. You do honest work, it says, with your own hands. You don't gain because of what somebody else has done unless you simply you don't have the ability. Maybe you're disabled or something like that. But most people, God's plan is everything you get because you earned it. You worked with your own hands. But instead of just saying don't steal anymore and let that be the end of it, he says you should have something to share with anyone in need. So you go from being a taker, as you know, that's what many people in the world are, to being a giver. That's what God has called us to be. Let you no longer be a thief who steals, but somebody who labors so that you have enough not only to meet your own needs, but you can have something to share with anyone in need. Now he goes on to say in verse 29, here's another aspect of what it means to walk in true holiness and righteousness. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth. Don't let anything in corrupting talk. We don't want to use profanity. We don't want to use vulgar language. But I want you to understand that's not the emphasis here. Corrupting talk here is talk that puts other people down, that hurts other people, that is corrupting and destructive of them. The only thing that should be coming out of our mouths is that which is good, it says in verse 29. Only such what is good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. That's what verse 29 says. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth, but only such as is good for building up. It's necessary or fitting for the occasion, and may give grace to those who hear. Now that doesn't mean we don't ever say anything that might be perceived as negative, because sometimes you have to graciously, humbly confront people in sin, and they may not want to hear that, but you're doing it for building them up, and it fits the occasion, and it gives grace to those who hear if they're willing to receive it. But never should we be known as those who have corrupting talk that is hurtful, tears people down, not necessary for whatever the situation is, doesn't give grace. Everything that comes out of our life should be gracious and giving grace to others. So I trust that you will do that. We'll continue to pick this up in our next devotional in verse 30. Have a blessed day.